Yo, what's up? This is Splendid Radio on Farside TV with a very special guest, uh, Mr. Terence Rosemore. What's happening with you, man?
Hey, what's up, Greg G?
Everything is good. Everything is good. It's crazy. I was talking to Bass about and we met via Bass Heavy to let everybody know. But I was talking to Bass about maybe a month ago. He's just one of them cats I always check in with, and he said he was talking about, he's like, man, you got to get Terrence back on the show, and we got to get his buddy from the pound, Beats by the Pound, his buddy from Beats by the Pound. He's like, man, these are some talented cats, and I was like, I know, man. I was like, I know, I get it. So we got you in here, man. So how you been?
I've been blessed, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. So I see you on the East Coast.
Yes, sir. ATL.
Oh, man, man, oh man. You don't miss LA?
I don't. I tell you what. I've been to LA a couple of times the last couple of months. I love visiting out there. I don't miss them prices, bro. I don't miss the cost of living.
Man, that's the cost for the sunshine, man, in the salt
Sunshine tax,
water.
eh? Well, that's the beautiful thing, man. Is I can jump on whatever and get out there.
That's right. That's right. That's tight. So tell me this: how'd you meet Bass Heavy?
Man, me and Big Chevy played in a band called Soul Remedy.
Whoa, that's where we talked about you. You were the drummer,
I was the original founding drummer of bass of Soul.
dude. Let me tell you this, man. So when I was exposed to Soul Remedy, they had a show. I don't know if you were the drummer at the time or not, but they had a show at the New Orleans House of Blues,
Okay.
and
Did we open
I
for you guys?
yeah, Far Side was the headliner, and Soul Remedy was opening. And so
You remember what year that was?
I don't know, but I know that IRR was still with us.
Okay, so there's I want to say that I'm about 85% sure that I was the drummer.
Okay, so I didn't catch sound. I didn't catch you guys at sound check. I didn't know, like I didn't even know who the opening band was or whatnot. But
Didn't
what I
even care, probably.
you said, huh?
They probably didn't care.
No, 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 no,
No,
no. I always
that's
try to check. Yeah, no, no, no. I always try to check who it is. But Pete, so I walk in with the guys to get ready to do our thing, and we're gonna go up after you guys. And the music that you guys were playing was so infectious, dude. Like I was like in a trance, man. I was literally in a trance. And it's funny because I interviewed Marla a couple months back,
right.
and no disrespect, but I used to think that it was her voice that just captivated me into Soul Remedy. And then when I listened to the EP, I was like, it was all of it. It was literally all of it. You guys were so ahead of your time.
Right.
Um,
Thank you,
I
brother.
said to Marla and I said to Bass, you guys were a neo soul band. I want to say you reminded me of D'Angelo's album Voodoo. You D'Angelo's album Voodoo with a female singer, and the funny thing about it is the music that I heard you guys do, it wasn't hip hop. It was truly like some neo soul fusion,
Jazz.
yeah, thing going on. And it was interesting to me because at that time, dude, I had been across the country touring. So I'd seen so many bands, and
Right,
every city had a band that was roots like, and
right, right,
they did
right,
the hip hop thing and
right.
but you guys were just straight up on uh some neo soul little jazz type thing.
Mhm.
But man, you guys were the band that I wish I could have saw. I wish everybody else could feel what I felt. You know what I'm saying? I'm still elated.
Bro, I get chills in the back of my neck you saying that. We had a good run and we were very successful, but we were early. And
Man,
how you described this, man, people used to always ask me, I used to say, imagine the Roots plus Erica Badu.
yeah,
That was that was the quick answer because
Yeah,
it was hard to describe what we did because in one song we might have straight ahead jazz, funk, a rap verse, and then some rock. you know,
I was so novice to what New Orleans was at the time that I saw you guys. So my people are from Brookhaven, Mississippi. That's about maybe about 90 minutes away.
okay.
So we fly into New Orleans and then I drive to Brookhaven and pass through Jackson on the way. But man, I'm older now. I don't have the ambition to do all that, man. I just fly into Jackson, take that little 45-minute drive and get where I'm
Right,
going.
right.
But, you know, New Orleans to me was just another hub to fly in to get to see my people in Mississippi. But I didn't understand the richness of the culture. Like I can describe it. So I do a lot of cooking. I can describe it almost like New Orleans being the root of so much music. It's the bass.
In America, absolutely.
It's the
That's a perfect analogy.
yeah. And I actually got my education on New Orleans. My cheat code and Bay said that they did a decent job, so I'm not too far off. But he said Treme. Treme was how I got my cheat code on some of the New Orleans culture, not all of it, and it was an HBO
Right.
special. But I'll always prop HBO up because they give a very um, they give you a storyline with some very good writing and very good acting. That's like what they're known to do.
Right.
That's what they're known to do. So yeah, so I checked Soul Remedy out. It blew my mind. I got Bass's hookup, and then Bass and I have just kept in touch ever since.
Mm.
Ever since. So, you're originally from where?
Originally from New Orleans, I was born in Great Falls, Montana.
Okay.
But from my father was in the Air Force, but he wasn't like traveling all around. Well, he was traveling all around before I was born. Um, but I was born in Montana, and then at 7 months old, I moved to New Orleans, and I stayed there till I moved to LA, California, and at the age of 35, 36 in 2001. I drove to California a month and a day after 9/11, October 12th.
I was just talking to somebody about 9/11, and when I knew it was real, well, first of all, the air the whole flying thing switched up 1,000,000%. But I remember going to Las Vegas, and
Hmm.
it had been about maybe 3 or 4 months after, and it was a ghost town, and advertising dollars had froze up around the country. Radio was crazy because the advertisers didn't have money to advertise,
Right.
and so everything was just so different after 9/11. So what made you come to LA after 9/11?
I'd been planning on coming there anyway. And once 9/11 hit, everything, like you say, everything froze.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a cousin living in San Diego. So he said, yo, come hang out by me until, everything smoothed over. And I got a crazy story about why I left when I did, involving my father. And it's a year later, some other crazy stuff happened. But I left on a Wednesday during a tornado watch. And I told my father if I don't, at the time I was in a fresh relationship with a woman I loved, and she was planning on joining me a couple of months later. And she wanted me to just wait for her and we go out to California together. I was like, no, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. So my dad at the time, he was going through a divorce and he was staying with me. And he said, hey man, why don't you it was a Wednesday, October 12th. And it's pouring down raining, man. It's a tornado watch, the route I'm going. He said, hey man, why don't you just wait until tomorrow and leave? And I said, man, tomorrow will be Thursday. If I don't leave tomorrow, I'm gonna stay the weekend. And if I stay the weekend, I'm not gonna leave. And if I don't leave, I'll be dead by the end of the year. And my father looked at me and he bust out crying. First time I ever seen my father cry. And last time I cried with him. I told him I don't owe anybody money. I'm not messing with nobody's wife. I need to get out of here. And
Man.
and I got on the road and there was a white knuckle going through that tornado area. Well, I don't know what a tornado was because I couldn't see 2 feet in front of me, man. But I drove, and then once the weather broke, I got into Texas, I think, and I
Mm.
got out and I kissed the ground. And so I went to San Diego, stayed there for 9 months with my cousin. My fiance at the time, her and her daughter joined me. We stayed in San Diego for a month, then we moved to LA in Koreatown.
Okay.
One of my first jobs, I was a PA on a movie, and we were shooting around Koreatown. So I said, "Hey, Mama, I'm coming home. We having surf and turf. I'm gonna bring y'all a plate." So when I came in, she said, "Your dad said call him." I said, "What's wrong with my father?" She said, "Just call your dad."
Whoa.
I said, "What's wrong with my dad?" She said, "Your dad's fine. Call your dad." So I called my dad. And before I left, I told him, I said, "Hey, man, if you ever move out of this spot, let me know because I want to keep it as a sub, I want to rent it out to folks."
Hmm.
Man, I had a beautiful place for 375 a month, bro.
Yeah, that's New Orleans.
With huge rooms, a backyard that looked like we were in Jamaica, koi pond, wooden fence, banana tree, the whole nine, bro. It was a vibe. So I said, "Look, man, if you ever move, uh, don't let me know, and I'll get somebody in there.
Hmm.
I don't want to lose it. It's gonna be my little spot when I come back because I ended up being in New Orleans more than LA. First
Okay.
couple of months working. So I called my father and he said, "Hey man, now I see what you mean." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "I'm moving." I said, "Why?" He said, "Both people on each side of us have died within a couple of weeks."
Whoa.
On the right hand side, it was a shotgun double. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on the other side, there was a young lady. She was 25 years old. They found her deceased in her tub. She had a heart attack. On the other side was my buddy, kind of like a home improvement. I had a 6 foot fence. Whenever I'd be barbecuing, my neighbor would be like, "Man, you got it smelling good. I give him a plate. Hey man, you want a beer?" Yeah. We do our thing. He had went in the backyard and shot himself in the head, killed himself. After killing his best friend, who was a contractor, they
Oh
got
man.
some kind of deal. He did that and then came home and then, did what he did to himself. The next day, my dad called me and says, "Now I see what you mean." No, no, I asked him, he said, "Hey man, I'm moving." I said, "You moving? Why? What's going on?" He said, "I don't want to be next."
Mm.
To this day, I can't tell you why I told my dad that.
Hey.
I, at the time, I was just doing it, but when
Yeah.
I back on it, even telling you, I was like, "Man, what possessed me to tell my father that?"
I
That's
got I got the short answer.
what is it?
The ancestors.
You're absolutely right, bro.
The
You know what?
ancestors.
Yes,
We more powerful. We more powerful than we know, man. And not on some hooky or whatever. But man,
you're right.
so uh it's interesting, and I'm not gonna go too far off topic, but one of my dearest friends, we were talking about something, and we were talking about people, and he was like, "Man, chosen people have more spirituality in their pinky than a lot of these people running around here trying to figure it and trying to find it and whatever." And man, I listen when the ancestors speak, man. I hear them, man. I hear, and I try to listen to them more than I hear them.
Hmm.
But yeah, man. If you feel it, put it this way: I would rather put the effort into something that may be preventative than to not do something that could be preventative and have to pay on the back end. A lot of people are like, "Man, why are you going to pay on the front end when you might have to pay on the back end too?" You know what? I just rather put that little energy towards the front end. And if the universe make me pay twice, then I'll pay twice. But I'd rather do this to just you know.
You know what? I call that being proactive as opposed to being reactive.
Yeah,
In other
yeah.
words, before it even go down, I'll give you a perfect example. You smell something in your car, but you're like, that smells funny. Or you're like, man, that smells like my radiator. When you was a young guy, you'd drive until it'd go hot on you. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying? You're in the middle of nowhere. As soon as you smell that right now, you're like, oh,
hey, I'm hitting
stop it.
the thing. I'm pulling over so fast. It happened to me. I got a little I have a Camry I bought from a high school buddy. Man, he sold it to me cheap, cheap. And my car is like a bigger car and it's more luxurious, but it burned a lot of gas. Not a whole lot, but it burned more than a Camry. And I was driving that Camry and I looked and I saw the engine, the thing. I saw that the temperature rising on. I pulled over so fast and saved that engine from from seizing up and going crazy.
Because
So
we've been there, man.
man, that's a fact. As a matter of fact, I was at my office today and a delivery person, I'm a vendor for this for this local guy on some stuff. And a delivery, when his delivery people pulled up, and I heard the death rat. He had like an old Toyota RAV4, and I heard the death rattle. And I told one of my employees, I said, "Hey man,
It's about to
you hear
go
that? You hear?" I said, "You hear that sound?"
out. Ain't too long.
Yeah, man. I said that sound means minimal of $1,000 and some discomfort. You know,
Minimal.
yeah.
Hey, what's your sign, Greg?
Taurus,
When's your birthday?
May 6th.
Okay. Let me ask you a question, man. Do you notice babies look at you randomly, just different places you be at?
Never paid attention. Mm-mm.
Reason why I ask, man, we people with high vibrations,
Uh-huh.
you attract animals, dogs,
Yep. I am a whisperer.
kids. I'm a whisperer too, man.
Yeah.
A friend of mine treated me a couple of years ago for my birthday to an empath.
Okay.
And so my thing was, I'm not gonna try to talk too much because it's like a tarot reader. The more you tell them, the more
The
they
more
gonna.
they, yeah.
So I said, I like to talk. So I said, man, I got to keep in mind and just listen. So she said, normally I pull tarot cards, and I don't play with those either. Now you're talking to somebody. I used to play drums for a couple of voodoo priests,
Yeah.
priestesses, but it was tourist
Okay.
type stuff, And I
Mhm.
also played a voodoo priest in a movie, first movie
Okay.
I did. So, but I don't dabble. So, um, she the empath, she said, I had a dream. She said, normally I pull cards.
Hmm.
I had a dream. And she said, I wrote down, I immediately woke up and I wrote everything down. She made a copy, she sent it to me. So that was different.
Hmm.
Without talking to me. Now you can Google me,
Yeah.
get some stuff, but most of the stuff that she told me had nothing to do with what was on Google. And then
Uh-huh.
another thing, in the middle of our conversation, we were Zooming, and she said, "Oh my God." And I said, "What?" She was. This is during COVID. It was the September, early October of COVID, and she was in her parents' backyard in like in Portland somewhere, Oregon. And she said, "A hummingbird." She said, "I'm on my parents' patio," and she said, "I see hummingbirds all the time because my mother has feeders." But she said one just came right over my computer underneath the patio, and it just hovered over my computer. So I said, "What does that mean?" She said, "I don't know." So we Googled it. High vibrations.
Man, I'll tell you one quick one, and we'll hop back into the double dutch. So I started in Santeria, and then I made my transition to Yoruba. I went straight to the titty. So we had the process, and then we went, and then we went to the straight 100% fat, non-pasteurized. So one of my initiations, um, there was like four babalaos, high priest for the initiation thing, and there were so many things that happened that made me a believer. Just like there were just so many things like I witnessed with my eyes, I felt, I saw, just whatever. So the last day of this of my initiation, um not my Baba, not my personal Babala, but one of the Babalas that was there. He said, I'm gonna tell you something, and I don't want you to be worried. He said, if you don't have it right now, at some point, you're gonna get this little tingle, and it's gonna be on the side of your face. And don't worry about it, because when it happens, you can take a steroid or take a little pill, or if you're really stressed, you could just relax and it'll go away. It's called Bell palsy.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm ahead of you. I had that after my mom passed away. And I said it came. And so that was one of the things that kind of opened me on some spirituality where I was like, damn, if somebody could tell you something about you and you ain't told them one, like you haven't given them a hint, you ain't gave them nothing. And another one, I went to Brazil and I went to a ceremony, and this girl that I kind of was hanging out with down there, she didn't want to go, but her mother wanted to go because her mom was deep into it. It's called Candomblé down there. It's another version of voodoo. So when it came to Haiti, it was voodoo. When it came to the States, it was Vodun or voodoo. When it came to Brazil, it was Candomblé. So her mom is like, yeah, she's like, her mom's like, I'll take him. And so homegirl was like crying. She didn't want to go. She's like, no, 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 no. So we go, and I'm sitting next to her, and uh, they're drumming, and one of the saints came down into this lady who's basically giving people what the saint is saying or whatever. So I told homegirl's mother to write down, because they were speaking what's Brazil Portuguese. Yeah, Portuguese. So I couldn't understand what they're saying, whatever. So I had them write it down. So they wrote it down. When I get back to the city the next day, I had befriended this guy who worked for, like, he was a black guy. He knew English. I take it that he was kind of means, because he worked for the record label out there. So I said, read this to me. What does it say? And he says, it says that you're in the entertainment industry, and that, the doors are going to open for you to do a couple things, blah, 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 blah. And he said, whoever this is, they kind of, they might have been trying to line you up and, just tell you some stuff so you give them money or whatever, whatever. And he said, how did you meet this person? And I said, through this girl that I messed with. But the girl that I messed with, she didn't know nothing, like, about what they were telling me. Like, she did, because my whole thing was, going down to Brazil. She knew a shot glass about what was up with me, but, like, she stayed in the favela, man. And when I say the favela, she flushed it. Because she had me come to her house. Her mom was cooking everything. You had to reach up to flush the toilet. You know what I'm saying? She stayed real, real. So
yeah, yeah.
I never wore my watches when I went out, and I learned, like, you need to look like the people in your environment. Like, you don't need to stand out and look like nothing. But anyway, I'm gonna hop back into the double dutch. You're an accredited actor, an incredible drummer, man. Oh my God, man. Ooh wee. So what was it like making your transition from drumming to the art of acting?
I started acting first, and then I got into drumming. Man, I had as an actor, I was auditioning for a lot of, they were shooting a lot of commercials and music videos. So they were always looking for for musicians.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd never trained professionally, never played in a school band, never even learned how to read. But I always, I got my first drum set when I was like 15, 16, and played in a couple of little garage bands, playing funk and fusion jazz and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then put it down once I got out of once I started playing football in high
You
school.
know what? Real quick, I hate to cut you off, but it came over me. This is what I forgot to say. When I was interviewing Marla, we talked about IRA, and I was saying, like, how he was like, people say people are bigger than life. He was actually bigger. Like he was larger than life. Like the way he communicated with his guitar, and I could never put my finger on it. And I believe she was talking about some of his influences, and I always thought Jimi Hendrix, like that was kind of one of my things. But she said no, he was also a fan of one of the Isley brothers. And I was like, oh, I was like, he bounces between. So he does his Jimmy thing, but
Yep.
then he does that Isley brother, he does that thing too,
That Ernie Isley.
but kind of doper than her. Kind of doper. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it.
That boy was a monster. And not only that, man, he was a bad percussionist.
Okay. I never knew that part.
Me and him then drove people in and out of places, bro, together.
Wow.
And he wasn't formally in the religion, but he was very conscious.
Okay.
Well, way more conscious than I was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll say this. The two of you may not have been more conscious than each other. He was just listening. You know, that he was you look, and that's one of the things about like my spiritual journey. I learned to listen,
Mm.
not to just hear, but I learned to listen. If you and the thing about it, whether it's your spirituality, whether it's doing business, whether it's your personal life, if you slow down and listen, it'll tell you everything you need to know, man.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Especially if you're dealing with people.
Yeah.
He'll tell you everything you need to know about them.
Oh man, but we try to, man, my business partner, best friend, co-habitational person of the universe, homeboy, you know what I'm saying? Uh we have this our the way we view life is very similar, but it's very different. But one of the things both of us have had the habit of is we're very graceful when it comes to um, having grace with people. You know what I'm saying? Having grace, and you know, I'm not gonna change. I'm not gonna be a different person. But having grace don't work all the time.
Yeah.
It's some people that was raised like they was raised by a pack of coyotes, man. You know, they, literally they were raised. And when I was a kid, my mother used to tell me, she would say, everybody's not going to be able to deal with you because you're different. Now, I fought that and went the opposite direction 98% of the time. How are you going to tell me I'm different? Blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I'm not. And so I actually went against the grain, you know, to deal with friends and women that I probably never should have dealt with, where she could,
Trying to be regular.
her wisdom saw it. You know, her wisdom saw it. And then as I became an adult, I was like, oh, that's what she meant, man. Weak, kindness for weakness.
I've had about 3 or 4 black women tell me I was a weird, or and I was defensive initially,
Mhm.
and they explained like, no, man, you're just different from the average brother that I've met.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, all right. So initially, I thought it was just the art thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So when you're an adult male, very few cats. Oh, I can say very few cats, but the majority of guys are doing whatever,
Yeah.
and maybe 25. And I'm not talking about cats who call themselves rappers and never release a record, but I'm talking about cats who make a living
Yeah.
in the arts. We're different. I call people that are not artists civilians because it's a totally different mindset and mentality. But I know exactly what you're saying, brother. And it was a trip because I probably would have gotten into the arts quicker if I wasn't trying to do like you were doing and be conventional to blend in with everybody else and not stick out.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, for me, I went to school away from the people in my neighborhood. not that it was better, not that it was worse, but I was forced to kind of acclimate to a very different environment. And it's so crazy the way that it groomed me, because it shaped me to be productive in different environments, to just kind of
To
thrive.
adapt, to adapt. When in Rome, do like wherever you go, you're gonna blend in like you went to the favelas and you took off your bling,
Oh man,
and
man, oh man.
everywhere you go, you're welcome, with the exception of there's some hostile spots where they don't care what kind of vibration you got. You ain't welcome here. But most places, man, you can go anywhere in the world and people will embrace you and and all that kind of stuff. So that's my experience.
Yeah,
As
I
well.
will. You know, I'll say for the most part, I used to try to dim myself a little bit, not to shine above, but just kind of like, dumb myself or just whatever. But as I got older, I was kind of like, man, you don't need a bunch of people around you. Like, man, stay to your grind, stay to your thing. And like, the people that are going to come in your space are going to be those worthy of being in your space. You know what I'm
Let me
saying?
tell you, one of the voodoo priests who I did the touristy conventions for. Look what she told me one day. She was dropping me off after a gig. We had like an early morning, 8 o'clock, bus full of tourists from God knows where. We do our thing. She's dropping me off home. She said, "Can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Yeah." She's dressed like a little voodoo priestess. She said, "Why do you turn your light down?"
Hmm.
She looked me dead in my eyes, and normally I can joke and BS and skitter around, whatever. And she had, even though she was an African American woman, she had piercing blue eyes and blonde hair,
Mm-hmm.
what we call Creole.
Yeah.
And she looked at me dead in my eye, and so I said, "Wow, she want a real answer." So I had to think. So I thought for a second, and I looked in her eye, and I said, "Survival."
Man. Man.
That's what she said.
Man.
Wow.
Man.
'Cause I'm in New Orleans. You grew up in LA?
Yep.
What neighborhood did you predominantly grow up in?
So no, no. So I'm from a place called Harbor City,
Mm,
near San Pedro.
yep.
Five
South.
minutes, 5 minutes, South Bay, 5 minutes from the water, 15 minutes from the beach. You know, and you know, I was very different than most people around me, and I didn't. But to speak to our conversation before we went live, um, when I learned how to be passionate about something, everything changed.
Mm,
Everything changed. Like everything changed.
right. Yeah, we're getting back to your original question, how I made the transition. So I started as an actor. And
Mm-hmm.
I keep going to these auditions as a musician instead of faking the funk, man. Let me, you know, start shedding.
Mm-hmm.
So how I got my next set of drums is a whole nother story with my uncle and crack and everything else. Got my drums, me and the original bass player of Soul Remedy,
Mm-hmm.
bass heavy came. We sat in my house for 2 years every Saturday, it's Friday and Saturday, and sucked. 2 years. None of us had formal training, just be me and him. When everybody else partying and hanging out, I'm like 26. I'm probably about 29, 28, 30. He's probably early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
We just in the house, man, sucking until we didn't suck no more. And so he said, "Hey, man, I'm playing in this band. Me and Marla, the lead singer, we're gonna come by the crib." I was like, "Man, I'm doing this movie stuff. I don't have time. I got my hands full. I'm teaching, blah, 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 blah." They came over and I was supposed to play, it was a poetry reading. I said, "Okay, I'm gonna play this one gig with y'all, because y'all got a gig, and after that, I'm done." Man, that one gig turned into about 5 years.
Man.
And and then how I transitioned back into acting was, actually I had transitioned in 1999. I transitioned from acting to behind the camera. And I started working for Cash Money Records. And I was their casting director literally from 99 to 2001 before I moved to California.
Hold on one second. I gotta ask. Foolish? Was you around during them days? Or that was before or after?
Foolish might have been before me.
Okay.
I was there for baller blocking.
Okay.
I ended up being a casting director. I started off as a office PA. They ended up firing the casting director after the first day of shooting. They knew I had a acting background. They came asked me to do it, gave me a little bit more money than I was making, and then I was off and running. So I'm playing in the band. Cash Money basically funded our first album. You know, the money I was making from them. It got to a point, man, where uh after you know how it is after the gig, man. We're ending at maybe 2:30 in the morning. Now we're going to get breakfast. I'm getting home at 5. I got to go pick up Halle Berry at 6 because I was working as her bodyguard on
Oh,
Monster
okay.
Ball. And so it got to a point, man, where I'm 36, man. I ain't no spring chicken, and I'm burning the candle at both ends. And so I'd already planned on moving to LA. Didn't really have a plan. Was just like, hey man, I've done everything I can do in New Orleans. I need to go jump into that water.
Okay.
And I had supreme confidence that man, I'm gonna find something. You know, if it ain't acting, it'll be behind whatever. I'm gonna go find something. And so and when I went to LA, man, I didn't act for 10 years. So I've been in the game 36 years. 10 of those years I didn't act. I was just behind the camera and playing music. And so what made me get back into acting in 2010, my son was about to graduate from high school. I moved back from LA to New Orleans to be close to my family. And my son was playing rugby for LSU. So I was like, yo, man, I need that SAG insurance. And one of the first shows I booked was Treme.
Whoa.
That's what put me back. I did like 10 episodes over 3 seasons.
Oh man. I hate to cut you short, man, but Treme is dear to my heart.
I saw that when you mentioned it.
Homeboy. Okay, so answer this question. Did Homeboy commit suicide or did he just vanish or what happened? The journalist guy.
I think they had it scripted as he committed suicide.
Ah, I never knew you never because they made it where you kind of never knew, but that show was so rich, dude. It was so rich, and then Wendell Pierce, oh my god, like he HBO, they do not get the credit they deserve. They were the original Netflix producing quality. You know, it was you couldn't it wasn't on demand, or at the time it wasn't on demand. But HBO gave us Oz. They gave us The Wire. They gave us
Entourage, Sopranos, Treme. You hit the nail on the head, brother. They set the tone for the future of programming. Because think about it. By the time the early 2000s came, the majority of network TV was reality shows. Survival, The Amazing Race, scripted TV shows like in the 90s, My Wife and Kids and all that kind of stuff. And all of that, as far as black shows, none of that was happening. Everybody was going with scripted reality because it was cheaper. And already people were starting to cut the cables and the audience was starting to get dispersed. We grew up with ABC, CBS, NBC, whatever little independent local channels, PBS, and cable, right? Hold on, I lost your
oh, sorry about that. I said
okay.
the WB came and shook all that up.
Yeah, yep. And then CW. Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. So yeah, so the industry was going. I tell you what, man, by the time I landed in LA, all the research I had done the previous 5, 10 years was obsolete by the time my feet hit the ground, bro. all my
Man.
research of how to move in the business and the industry, all of that had been wiped out. It's kind of like what happened with COVID and the strike. What happened with streaming, with music streaming
Mm-hmm.
in the late 90s. And so the reality is that the industry's always gonna, let's look at movies. So
Mm-hmm.
first they were silent, and then they became talkies, then they became color, and then TV came, then cable, then VHS, then the DVD. You see,
Yeah.
and so there's always things, like right now it's AI. And like you were saying, man, there are people you could either be proactive or reactive. I know people that are shaking in their boots. Oh my God, the AI. My thing is embrace it, and the biggest thing that you can do, you can still put some heart into your content, but now you can be even more productive.
Mm-hmm.
How many times you wish that you can clone yourself one time?
I'm,
And
I'm I'm not that progressive, man. I've never wanted to share. I've never wanted to share more than one of me with the world, man.
gotcha. I wanted to do it just for productivity
Okay.
because I'm the type of cat. I'm like you, man. I'll work 26 hours,
Yeah,
and not even know it's 26 hours
man.
because I've got so many things. And part of it with me with having so many things going on is that in this industry, especially as a producer of content, man, you might need 10 just to have one.
Yes, sir.
You might have to have 10 plates in the air, but all you need is one of them to hit. And then you can take that and whatever. And so
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
a agent. Unless you've got like that golden hen, you might need 5 or 6 acts to get your nut.
yep.
You
That's a
know,
fact.
and maybe if one of them all of a sudden become a mega, maybe you can drop the other ones or give them to your other folks. But that that's where my work ethic comes from. Really, even the music, man. It was like as an actor, you're sitting waiting for people to call you, invite you to an audition, and then between you and 500 other cats, they got to select you. So my thing was, I need to be create. I'm a creator.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a storyteller. If I could really brand as a musician, writer, actor, director, if I one title, I love telling stories.
Mm-hmm.
So if I could put that on a card and people wouldn't try to pay me $50 an hour to go work at the library, I would do it. And so as a storyteller, the beautiful thing about writing is that I don't need anybody's permission to sit down and put pen or typewriter to work and create and entertain folks. Even if it's my best friend, hey man, read this. As opposed to I'm sitting and I'm waiting for Paramount to call or HBO or whoever.
So I'm gonna talk about the elephant in the room. How did you end up on Superman?
That's a good question, man. James Gunn, the director, I've worked with him on probably about 7 or 8 projects up to that point. So everything since Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, everything that I've worked with him on since then, everything that he's done, with the exception of Creature Commando, he's called me in,
Man,
and I'm part of his repertory.
that's dope.
And yeah, so he's got about a 20. Most of them are personal friends of his who we go back 20, 30 years ago. I've been working with him for 10 years. So unbeknownst to most people, James usually hires me like the Supergirls. They hired me to play Superman for their screen test to activate.
Oh, okay.
I Kent, same thing. For Guardians Part 3, Adam Warlock. They hired me and some other actors. Because what they do is they do a screen test. They put them in makeup, full, costume, and then they shoot. They might have anywhere between 2 to 4 actors.
Mm-hmm.
These are the finalists.
Okay.
So they'll do a screen test where they'll shoot them on a set in costume with lights, a little miniature crew, and then they'll decide from there. So I was tested. They told me that, hey man, we're doing Superman, and Are you going to be available from this point to that point as an actor? You always say yes, you know.
Hmm.
So we were testing Supergirls, the last two finalists, and James walks up to me and says, "Oh yeah, you're playing Otis," and then he walks off. And Otis, exactly, and Otis is iconic from the original Superman Christopher Reeves movie. Oh, what's his name? Ned Beatty played him
Oh
next to
wow.
Gene Hackman, the
Okay.
villain. And so that's all he told me. And he walked off. And at first I was like, Otis, why is that familiar? Who the hell is I was like, oh shit, Otis. And so yeah, man, that's how I got it, man. The Warner Brothers did ask me to read, but it was one line. And they said, hey man, do it twice and send it to us. So I think I was James's first choice, but when you're dealing with a corporate, there's executive casting people.
Hmm.
Normally, they want a face or a name to add value to this $200 million they're about to spend. And James constantly hires people. He, like if you look at that first Guardians, man, none of those guys were stars before Guardians.
Wow.
Michael Rooker, character actor. Um, Pratt was on Community, Parks and Recreation or whatever. Zoe, she was doing whatever she was doing. Dave Bautista was a wrestler. You see what I'm saying?
Hold on. Hold on. I tried to understand how Dave, because I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I
Okay.
love Guardians of the, so before Guardians of the Galaxy, he never really did any acting. That was like his first kind of breakout situation.
Yeah, he might have done some stuff, but that was the breakout
No,
deal.
I'm saying where he's like
He the guy.
his first feature film, like major project. That's dope. That's dope.
So I'm part of James's repertory, man,
Wow.
and it's a blessing. Just like behind the scenes, I was part of Judd Apatow's crew. Um, I worked on 40-year-old Virgin, Walk Hard, and that was through my relationship and association with people that worked his producers. They worked with me on a project, and they just kept calling me, and they
Real
were
quick, I hate to spin the record back and cut you off.
no, no, no.
Did you understand how large Guardians of the Galaxy was going to be?
I did because the first Guardians, I didn't see it.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be full disclosure, man. I wasn't a Marvel and DC head. I was more into cracked and mad.
Okay.
I wasn't into Star Wars and stuff like that. I was into Airplane, Naked Gun, Blade
Okay.
Battles. You see what
Okay.
I'm saying? I was always from a comic, kind of that ironic sense of humor, Dave Letterman, you know,
Dude.
just irreverent off the cuff. So I I wasn't a Marvel or DC guy. And so when I auditioned for Guardians 2, I didn't even know what it was. And I tell you why. I was living in New Orleans at the time. And at the time, they were in Atlanta. They were in the process of getting ready to shoot Black Panther, Spider-Man, and Guardians. And all of them had code names. So I didn't know what was what. So the audition came in as henchman number one. Uh, and I had one line, and they wanted me to do it three different ways. And that one line was, "There he is, get him." I didn't know who we were talking about. I didn't even need anybody to read with me. I put myself on tape. There he is, get him. And I'm in Atlanta during the holidays, and I'm driving back to New Orleans like January 3rd. Just spent
Mhm.
the week with the fam. My agent from Atlanta calls me, and I'm about to not answer the phone. It's like, man, they want me to probably come audition for something. And I'm damn near out of the state. And I answer. It's like, oh my God, you got Guardians. You got Guardians. And you're not going to wear prosthetics. I didn't know what the hell none of that meant. I was like, what are you talking about? So then she said Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't even know. I was like, wait, what? You know the thing yeah, and they get to see your face because there were some people who they got cast
So
in
much
it.
makeup, man. So much makeup.
Absolutely. Well, the third one, I got the full treatment,
Okay.
but the first one, man, I had my face. I just had a few scars, and so that's literally say there he is, get him 3 times, 3 different ways, and that changed my life. Mhm.
Man, man, that's, but you know what? If it wouldn't have been acting, it would have been on them drums. It would either or. It would have been one of the two, man. It
Hey, did you ever met Bob Bishop?
no.
Bob Bishop was a longtime road manager for Parliament Funkadelic.
Okay.
He worked with him for almost 30 years. When he retired, he moved to New Orleans.
Mhm.
And Bob was good friends with a late friend of mine, King, who was a musician and was tight with George and all those. Whenever they came to New Orleans, you know how it is. You come to town, you go holler at your local boys.
Mhm.
He was the cat who Parliament would holler at from New Orleans.
Yeah.
And so Bob came to one of our gigs and we were at break. And he said, "Hey man, come on the balcony. I want to talk to you." And he said, "Look, man, I've been in this game a long time." And he said, "I want you to listen to what I'm about to say." He said, "With the exception of bass heavy, none of you guys are in the top 10 at your instrument. Y'all band out of
Mhm.
all of the great musicians in New Orleans." But he said, "There's nobody else in the city who can touch y'all chemistry." He said, I've been in situations where we went and hired the best players at each position, and we didn't have what y'all have."
Real quick, to that point, you my homeboy, man. Now we gonna spin it back. We was cook. We space and time had us disconnect. We about to hook it back up. Shout out to Bass Heavy once again, the conduit.
My God, yep, yep.
But this is the thing: basketball. Everybody in California is on the Lakers. They're just Lakers, 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 Lakers. Been on Lakers, Lakers, Lakers. Dude, I was a fan of the Lakers in the 70s when,
Showtime, Lakers. Showtime.
man,
Me too.
Magic Johnson can run down the court. He'll throw behind his back, not even look, whatever. And they just was, you know what I'm saying? That was what it was.
It was like art, man. It was like work of art.
Now people hate on me because I'm a Clippers fan, but I tell them this: the Lakers have all the talent in the world, but they never can play together. The
Mm.
Clippers don't have all that talent, but they play like a sped up, dope college ball team. So it's more action. It's more, and they're playing together like a team. They're actually playing together. So to your point, man, I'll take the team over the town anytime, dude. Anytime.
I lived in LA from 2002 to 2010, and the whole while I was not a Lakers fan. I grew up with Showtime Lakers, playing Boston and Dr. J and all them. So I was all about Showtime Lakers. When Kobe and Shaq and them got together, I wasn't feeling them. I was more of a Clippers fan. I was hoping the Clippers.
I, I'll tell you what sucked me into the Clippers vortex. I used to laugh at the Clippers, and one of my
Everybody.
homeboys had some tickets, and he worked for the Staples Center or wherever they were having games at that time. He was like in, and he was like a head of security, but
Mhm.
not security like walking around with a baton or whatever. He was like plain clothes, walkie talkie, earpiece, da 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 da. So I went to a game, and I'm a printer by trade, so I do screen printing and just anything paper related, just
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
I looked at their merch booth and I saw how they had freaked all this merch, and I was like, damn, they could play ball, they got dope merch, you know what I'm saying? And I'm
Right.
looking at it, I said, you know what, man? we not gonna rock with whoever with what LA says we need to rock with. I'm gonna rock with these cats that can play with each other. They play good, they play hard, they play a fast game of basketball. The merch is dope. And from there, I was kind of like, I can live with this. You know what I'm saying?
G, man, you and I was telling Bass earlier today, I said, man, me and G, last time we talked, we connected over something specifically.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, I don't remember what it was, but we just connected instantly off this one thing. And then, we were connected on other stuff too. So he's like, man, I'm a ass. I don't remember what it was, but I was a printer by trade between the age of 21 and about 28. Shell Oil Company, bro.
Hey man, I'll say this. The universe is cold, and I tell people all the time, the world is the size of a shot glass. You think it's different, but the world is truly the size of, and it'll line up when it's supposed to. It don't matter how bad you want it to line up.
Bro,
When it's
how long ago it was when you and I last talked? About 3 years, two,
yeah,
3 years?
three or four.
But we picked up like bam.
Yeah, and I dropped the ball on I man, I am not gonna drop the ball.
No, look, man, life be life, man.
Ooh, you know what I tell people? If they would have told us what it was like to get older when we were kids, would have sucked all the fun out of it,
Right.
man.
If you don't mind me asking, how old are you, G?
54.
Okay, I just made 61 in the end of July.
Damn.
You don't you if you didn't have that little gray, most people think you was in your early 30s, late 20s, because you still got that baby face.
Vice versa. Shit, I thought we was in the same peer group.
Right. And again, man, I think it's just I was baby faced, always was baby faced. Not anymore, but I still, blessed to look younger. But I think the way we live our lives, the way our mothers raised us,
Man.
and what they instilled just from a little bit. You gave me a lot of information the first time we talked about your mother,
Yeah.
but even when you mention her now, man, it's like a lot of the stuff. uh, One of the reasons why I was different from I grew up in Holly Grove, where Lil Wayne is from,
Okay.
and but I went to Catholic school from kindergarten to sophomore when they put me out. Not because I was a badass, because I wanted to be the next Richard Pryor.
Uh,
And they were trying to turn out scholars, not
yeah,
comedians.
yeah, you were moving in the opposite direction of a scholar.
Absolutely, man. But that those I think, man, we live in a beautiful place of curiosity. And like you say, man, just listening to the universe.
God, listen, man. You got it'll tell you every time. And man, I had a conversation about 40 minutes today
Mhm.
on how I'm not jaded. I'm not going to change who I am, but the levels of empathy I throw in the universe to well-bodied adults,
Mm.
we're going to turn that down a notch, man. We're going to turn it down just a notch. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
I hear you, brother. I hear you, man. I for the rest of my life, man, I'm gonna be trying to get out of my own way.
Man, that's a fact. That's a fact. So tell me this. Growing up as a kid, I was guilty. My sister, yeah, since we've talked, my sister passed away, man. Rest in peace.
I'm
She
sorry to
died
hear that.
she died a week after we threw her 60th birthday party for her. Like just like man, it was
Was it just you two?
yes, it was.
I got one sister. She's 5 years younger than me.
Oh man, man, oh man. And you know the funny thing about it
6
is,
years younger than you, older than you, right?
yeah, she was older. Uh-huh. Yeah, she was 8 years older.
Yes, okay.
And the reason why I bring that up and bring this story, this is some classic little brother stuff. I was about 4 years old, 5 years old, and I woke up in the middle of the night dreaming, and I jumped off the bed and screamed Superman and hit the floor, belly flop pancake, belly, belly flop pancake on him. So me saying that, um, Superman definitely impacted my whole like the childhood. That was the I mean, man, it impacted Michael Jackson. He had the little curl, the little loop de loop in the front.
Right.
Did you ever think a man born in Montana, growing up tapping on some drums in New Orleans, chasing some thespian dreams,
Mhm.
did you ever think that you would be part of a franchise in any capacity like Superman?
Or even Marvel. No.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to be an actor, man. I started acting on a dare from my girlfriend, bro. Uh, I was always a class clown. And I wasn't even trying to pursue it as a career. I just wanted to be funny as a kid. I think my first thing I wanted to be was a football player because all the males around me, their attention was laser focused on watching football more than basketball or baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Orleans. And so I I felt subconsciously, I think most of us, because if you go ask a little kid, 8 years old, what do you want to be? 67% of the African Americans are going to say a basketball or football player. Very few of them are going to say lawyer or doctor unless they have lawyers or doctors in their family or in their peripheral. We emulate at the time we were growing up, the people that were most successful were celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
They were actors, singers, and ball players. They weren't businessmen. They weren't mayors. They weren't CEOs of companies, you know. And so that's what we saw. And like you said, man, as a child, it's funny. I I never saw specifically Marvel or DC, but my mother did.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much Marvel or DC, but I remember even before I got into acting, she was like, I remember the Fresh Prince first came on with Will Smith.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, T, you can do you. She said, I love Will Smith, don't get me wrong, but you're way funnier than him. You're way whatever. And I'm like, And I think my thing was that, that light, man. It's like when you come up in the hood, too much of a light shined on you. And the other people not as shiny as you too.
Hey man, you food, man. You food.
Yeah, but that's that ain't a cool place to be.
Mm-mm.
And so part of my thing was even today, man, it's like I'm about to work. Look, when I first signed up, got into acting, it was about women, money, fame. The
Mm.
first two things that went out were fame and women. Once I got my passion, once I realized that they say the two most important days of your life is the day that you're born and the day that you realize why.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I saw was that I could move people with this art. I was doing an August Wilson play called Joe Turner's Come and Gone. And I gave a speech right before the curtain went down. And we're in a little small 100-seat theater. And I gave this speech. And as I gave the speech, the lights would go down. As the lights are going down, man, a tear rolled down my eye. Not because I was crying, but your eyes watering.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I had my hands around somebody's neck or something. And so I was holding another actor by the collar, and I'm trying to tell him who I am. And as I gave him that speech, and it's my character in the first half of this movie is very quiet, mysterious, and scary to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave that speech, and I gave that speech, the lights are going down, and my tear is going down with the lights, bro. It looked like we planned it, but we didn't. It was just one of those happy accidents.
Mm-hmm.
I remembered hearing the front two rows sniffle, cry, because that speech was heartfelt. And there was a gasp when that light, just that I got lucky. And I was just kind of like, all right, that tear roll now, I'm gonna milk it. I'm gonna make it cry and go even more, make it look like I'm crying, not like, I got allergies. that was one of the moments that when I realized, hey man, I can make people feel stuff.
Mm.
And it would be a little later until I realized that this was some people's escape. I had a sketch comedy troupe, kind of like Dave Chappelle's.
Okay.
And 1996, we gave a show, and a good friend of mine, he had just lost his mother maybe a month before. I gave him some tickets. After the show, everybody's, giving you love after the show. Your adrenaline's running. Everybody wants to say hello, congratulations. This brother, he said, hey, brother, thank you. I said, oh, man, E, you my boy. He said, no, man, thank you, T. And he made me look him in the eye. He said, it's the first time I laughed since my mom passed away.
Hmm.
And that caught me, G, because I was like, the whole while I'm writing, producing, performing this thing, my sole goal was to make people laugh and turn a profit so I could pay everybody and maybe walk away with a little something in my pocket for all my troubles of
Mm-hmm.
producing, writing, directing, having a band, an artist, and all this crazy shit. And when Eric B told me that, man, he looked me in my eye. He said, thank you. That's all, man. And I always got you with tickets. He said, no, man. That's the first time I laughed since my mom passed.
Mm. Whoa.
That that's when I realized the true power of this. And I get, it's like the reason why people are reacting to Superman and Guardians and this, that, that, because the real world is we it's hectic right now, bro.
I pull my hair out if I had some. You
It's,
know.
it's hectic right now. I went to the movies today. I went to go see Weapons.
Okay.
And I normally, man, I had stuff to do. Man, last thing I should have been doing was sitting in the movie for 2 hours. But I was like, you know what, man? I'm like, sometimes, like you said, bro, you got to pull yourself away and say, hey, I've been doing that maybe the last 2 or 3 years. Hey, man, I'm done for right now, or I'm done for the day. I'm
Yeah.
gonna myself. I'm gonna go. Even if I'm sitting in my living room watching my favorite TV show, I'm
Yeah.
done with work. And I'm gonna recharge my battery, and then I'm gonna get up in the morning, or maybe 3 hours from now, 3 in the morning,
Yeah.
and hit it again. I love what I do, man. I
Nah, I'm definitely a fan of your work, and the the acting is beautiful, but the story,
Yeah, storyteller, storyteller.
that part.
Me and a buddy, we're gonna start a podcast called "I've Got a Story,"
Mm.
and what we're gonna do is we're gonna have different categories, and we're gonna call out to. You don't have to be a celebrity; you could be regular folks.
Yeah.
You got a story about family, story about dogs, story about school, story about love, and one of the things about us, the people that we interact with, one of my favorite things, man, is going with a group of artists who I normally don't get to be around, and
Mm.
we go somewhere where we can talk, and the music not too loud, and we have a nice meal and whatever libations we enjoy, and we trading them stories.
Man, one, I'm gonna hook you up. I don't know what's gonna come. I got a partner who's a comedian. His name is Amaru. I'm a, I'm a, I'm gonna do my best to take good brothers and throw them in the arena, and then we just see what happens. No harm, no foul. But with my format with Splendid, my thing is to give the journey in a podcast. Like a lot of podcasts are just smoking, drinking, cussing,
Mhm.
gossiping, just whatever. My thing is, I take people who are very talented in their own right. They don't have to be a star of whatever, but like I'm more interested in the journey than I am. We'll get like I said, I wanted to throw the Superman and Guardians of the Galaxy out there first 3 minutes.
Get it
That's
out of the
that's
way.
cool, but Terrence is cool, and we gotta get to we. I want to know who Terrence is to just kind of give the pathway to how we get or how we ended up with a Guardians, because the thing about it, it's not just about acting. Like that's not like that. You're so much more than that. You know what I'm saying? That
Absolutely.
just ended up being spaces and places and time where you were able to shine other. But man, when you were on them drums, you know what I'm saying?
Well, when you were describing us and your reaction to us, bro, the hair on the back of my neck went up, man. I recently went see Omar in Atlanta on my birthday. That's my third time seeing him.
Okay.
I saw him in New Orleans. I saw him in LA at the Temple Bar, and I saw him at City Winery in Atlanta, bro. And oh my gosh, bro, one of my
Shame,
ain't changed, man. Still doing the thing, bro.
shame on me. Um, it's a spot that we would perform at called the Jazz Cafe in London. And we always get into London a couple days early. Usually we fly into Amsterdam and like Amsterdam take the bite off, and then we go into London, and then we get there like maybe 2 days before a show, and then just kind of get whatever. And one of the night I didn't know who Omar was, and one of the nights one of the guys was like, "Oh man, let's go, man. We can get it for free. We have dinner. Let's go check Omar. Let's go check Omar." I was like, "Man, I'm not trying to check Omar." And so he was like, "Nah, man, come." So I went, and when I first heard him, I was kind of like, "Who's this English dude trying to do soul music?"
Neo soul, right, right.
Yeah, I'm like, huh? But as I became a fan, I realized it was a thing. And not only was a thing, he was very talented at that thing. You know what I'm saying? And his voice, it so what you did when the tear dropped and the curtain came down and in that moment, Omar can do that with music.
Yeah, bro. Little Boy. That was one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
Little Boy. First time I saw him, man, me and two of my future bandmates, before I got with Soul Remedy, I had a band called Funk Family Collective. And so what we were trying to be was the hip hop version of Sly and the Family Stone.
Okay.
And I didn't know what I was doing. I never had ran a band before.
Mm-hmm.
And I told the people that who came, and they were cool because I was up front. I wasn't trying to fake the funk. I said, man, I don't know how to read music. I don't even know how to count us in. Would you until I learned how to count us in? Bass Heavy taught me how to properly start and end a song.
Man.
Bass Heavy was one of the two or three people that changed my life musically because he was the most accomplished cat out of everybody in the band. We instantly put him as the musical director. And it was like adding Tom Brady to Tampa Bay.
Let me tell you something. I've called on bass to play keys for shows,
Right?
production. My business partner, one closest homeboy, mixing and mastering, like so much, man.
Bass, drums, he could play drums.
Oh man,
He is they throw the G word out, bro. That cat, I learned so much from him. He was so patient and cool. He was probably the youngest one out of all of us.
mm-hmm.
And he instantly came in and got us out of our bad habits, but in a very nurturing way. Some cats, man, who are very accomplished, man, and they come with some amateurs, they can be brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Bass was very patient with us. He knew who we were. And I, our biggest thing was like, man, please don't leave us. Because we knew everybody was trying to snatch him too, bro.
Hey man,
Everybody was trying to snatch him.
hey man, very talented cat, man, very
Bro, oh my gosh, bro.
talented, passionate, and very patient.
Absolutely.
Very, very patient, man.
He was the cat who he was the glue.
Yep.
Me and people say Marla, I was the heart, Marla was the soul, or vice versa. And we were like, it was crazy, bro, because there would be nights like bass was always the best cat on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And we did 300 shows. That never changed.
Mm-hmm.
But over a course of gigs, everybody would have a night to shine.
Mm-hmm.
And you might have saw one of them nights when I arrived was 10 feet tall with that. Yeah, bro.
Man.
Those nights, bro.
Yeah.
Automatically, I'd be right behind him because he'd drive me. Because before I got with those cats, I mostly played hip hop with my band, and I played a little fusion jazz in the '70s when I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
I had a partner who was into Bernard Wright and Herbie Hancock, who was a keyboard player. So we were playing original fusion, you know, and but when I got with Ayo Ra, he taught me rock, he taught me reggae.
Mm-hmm.
I knew the funk because I grew up with the funk. Bass got me into jazz and gospel, and just we like I said, man, we it was just the perfect storm of
Mm-hmm.
personalities and spirits.
Oh yeah.
And just like Bob Bishop told us, he said, "Man, with the exception of your bass player, none of you guys are top 10 at your instrument." But he said, "Nobody."
The cold truth. The
That's
cold
how
truth.
that's how big that look. That's how Bob was, bro. This dude spent 30 years on the road with Parliament Funkadelic.
Yeah.
Told us, man. He said, I've been in situations where we tried to hire greatness.
Mm-hmm.
They were individual greatness. He said, but y'all don't know what y'all got. And I was actually being kind of annoyed. Oh, no, no, man, we know because this is how we built it. Da, 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 da. But when I stepped back and really listened, like you said, as opposed to hearing,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, we took it for granted because this is all we knew. Our chemistry, was like the first bass player we had him for about maybe a month. He's the one who brought me into the gig.
Wow.
I was conflicted because we had our first gig after this little coffee shop thing on New Year's Day at a black bookstore, and our bass player quit or they fired him. And I was tighter with him than everybody else in the band. I just met these cats, so I'm in a conundrum of, damn man, should I go with my boy or should I stay with them? So I call him and say, man, what's going on? So it was just a personality conflict between him and Marla.
Okay.
I had to make a decision. So I said, all right, man, I'm gonna play this gig and then I'm gonna, figure it out. And we played the gig without a bass player, bro. And we were horrible. People were looking at us like we were crazy. And but how musicians are. My partners, like, said, bro, that shit was
Wow.
whack.
The cold truth, man. Ooh-wee.
Bruh. And so then the next day or the next couple of days, because they saw that I was about to jump ship too. And Mom said, we found a bass player. And so we got together with this cat, and I don't know if we had a gig or what, but then it was like, oh my goodness. Wow. And it's even so much so I was like, man, this brother ain't gonna be with us long. Because he was that bad.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, my relationship with bass started the night that I saw you guys,
Mm.
and I got his number. And man, I'm like a cat that somebody gave some food, man. He ain't been able to shake me, man. You know what I'm saying?
Man, that's been what, at least 20 years, huh?
Yep,
25 almost,
yep,
probably. Wow, that's crazy.
yep. Nah, he ain't been able to shake me, man. A resource for many things, but no. To give some color to the conversation, the band you were in was called Soul Remedy. Rest in peace, IRA. Soul Remedy was a neo neo soul group out of New Orleans. Very talented, man. Very, very, very talented. You um, drummed for the group, and then you transitioned into the life of a thespian writer
Hmm.
and all things involved to the
Hmm.
point of where you have been able to become, part of two different franchises that are very well known and adored. And I'll say this, being that you were part of the Superman thing, like we were speaking earlier today, uh, I take a lot of heat when people hear that I like Black
Tell
Adam.
me that.
They give me some heat, man. And I say the CGI is dope. The CGI is dope. And then the story is dope. Like, dude, like it's, in the Middle East and the whole little nine. And I'm like, man, it's not Superman or Batman or any of those things, but don't take away from that being a good movie. You know what I'm saying?
Were you a Black Adam fan when in reading the
Not
comic?
at all. Not at
Okay.
all. So
Uh,
so so my journey into the DC and the Marvel world is very similar to my journey with Star Wars. It's
hmm.
kind of a faux thing. So for me, I connect with what's been presented to me in like the last 20 years. And I have these arguments with these dudes that I went to high school with on Facebook because they're like, no, they did it wrong. It doesn't follow the storyline. This character would have never done that. I said, hey man, I'm talking about what I'm looking at. Um, Disney is a part of Star Wars right now. I think that the marriage was okay. I'm not gonna say that it's because there's purists that are never gonna be into it,
Right.
but I feel like Disney Studios was able to help the Star Wars franchise do what they did on another level. Honestly, you got to think about it. First Star Wars, you can see fishing string if you look hard enough. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? If you look hard enough, you can see fishing string. The Star Wars things that they're doing now, with the collaboration with the Disney studio, it just looks so incredible to watch, man. It just
When did you become fully Star Wars, invested in Star Wars?
10 years ago.
Okay.
The fully, I mean, I saw the first Star Wars in the movies. I saw Empire Strike Back. I saw that. But when, honestly, when the Disney Channel, after the merger
Hmm.
and the content that the Disney Channel was putting out, and then um Giancarlo Esposito, like man, he's one of my favorite actors anyway. And
Hmm.
he comes in as this villain and just all that. And I'm just like, oh man, this is but like I said, I'm a faux fan. So if you want to debate me on what the original storyline was, the original characters, I'll just let you win. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna do that.
I'm going to say something that's probably sacrilege to every Star Wars and movie fan out there. I've never seen Star Wars or Empire Strike Back in full. I broke your heart.
But you want to hear something funny? I was talking to a girl. I can't even. She had never seen it either. Like it just wasn't in her. I was blessed to have an aunt who didn't have any kids, and it was two other first cousins and myself. And she was a social worker, and she wanted to culture us. And so she was the aunt that took us to plays, took us to the movies and all that. So, matter of fact, she took me to see Superman, the one that had the that you were talking about, the one with Richard Pryor in it. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So all that. So no, man. With that being said, where can people find you in the social media world?
If my name Terence Rosemore, Terence with one R, two E's. I think I'm at T. I don't even know. I got social media. Um, I think I'm. If you just put T Rosemore, man,
Okay.
you put my name, a list of stuff. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. Man, they got so many different platforms now.
Mm-hmm.
and you got to get on them to promote yourself and the stuff you're doing. As a matter of fact, when I hang up with you, I've got to post some stuff on Instagram for I do a podcast called the Super Duper Oddcast that I co-host. That's what my shirt says.
I know.
Um, and I also co-host get this, a podcast with Garrett Morris from Saturday Night Live
Wow.
and Harold Sylvester from Married with Children, and a couple of other OG Hollywood brothers, man. And you can find it on iTunes, Spotify. It's called Old Black Men Sitting on the Porch Talking Shit.
Man, man. Nah, we got so much conversation. That's crazy how but you know what? The universe was supposed to line it up right now.
Exactly.
It's not about what you want. It's gonna happen when it's supposed to happen. So with that being said, do you have any upcoming projects you want to speak on?
Yeah, man. We Super Duper Podcast. We're on YouTube. We're on Substack. Coming through an organization called Tribal Connections. Black men sitting on the porch talking shit. I got a movie coming out called Confessions, which is like a horror movie. I got a nice role in that. And then I got another movie called The Many Lives and Deaths of Wilson Shedd, directed by Tim Blake Nelson
Okay.
from Oh Brother Where Art Thou and Buster Scruggs. I don't know if you know who Tim Blake is. He does a lot of carry. If you look, you're like, oh yeah, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see a movie called Just Mercy?
Oh brother, where art thou was the closest that I'm gonna get.
Okay, okay, yeah. So Tim Blake, he was one of the escaped convicts. He's also a accomplished director.
Okay.
So I did a movie with him in I want to say June, May, June. I don't know when it's coming out. Then there's something that I've done but I can't speak on.
Okay.
But it's something that you're gonna like.
Well we gonna speak on it after it come out. How about that?
Absolutely, and it comes out. So it comes out in a couple of weeks. So once it gets out, we can circle back.
Yes,
And
sir.
yeah, man, I'm blessed. I start grad school this week. I'm at Southern New Hampshire University, getting my MFA in creative writing with an emphasis in screenwriting. Something that's been dear to my heart is teaching.
Mm-hmm.
I teach acting and filmmaking, and I always took a vocational approach, trying to get like around time when crack was big. I would tell kids, you can't tell kids, hey man, go get a job at McDonald's, and they're making $300. But I could tell them, hey man, go get a job in the movie industry.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna make maybe $200 a day, but you ain't got to worry about going to jail or getting shot.
Knocked over the head. I heard that.
Absolutely, but then it got to a point, man, where if a kid wasn't naturally predetermined to interested in that, but I was so what I realized is when I taught screenwriting,
Mm-hmm.
teaching them reading and writing, and whether they want to go into the industry or not, reading and writing will be a skill they can bring with them for the rest of their lives, regardless of what they do.
As cliche as that sounds, as true as it is.
And look, I started teaching these kids. They had me teaching like second and third graders. I wanted kids a little older because I really wanted to write some cool stuff. These kids do some sci-fi, blah, 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 blah. But then I realized about third, fourth grade is when kids start falling off the wagon with
Mm-hmm.
math and with everything, math and reading, especially.
Mm-hmm.
So, two by accident, the first two classes I worked with, both of these kids' grades went up the
Mm-hmm.
next semester. I had no idea. I wasn't even trying to do it. I was just, doing my thing. But so that's what my passion is, man. One of my lifetime goals is to win an Oscar for best original screenplay, so I can be an ambassador all over the world regarding literacy.
Call it to the universe, man. It'll listen. Call it
Absolutely.
into the universe.
And I will win a best Oscar for best screenplay Oscar, and I hope that enables me to go all over the globe being an ambassador for literacy.
Hey, man. And that will be the viral clip. You know what I'm saying?
Hey man, from your lips to God's ears, let's do it.
Hey, well, nice, man. Well, that's been dope. Another episode of Splendid Radio on Fireside TV. I appreciate your time. I'm gonna reach out to you in the next couple of days.